Hey friends, JJ here. You're watching Bull to the Bust. It is Tuesday, March 17th, 2020. Let's get into some news here. So, California, Gavin Newsom has signed an executive order halting foreclosures in the state until at least May 31st. And Newsom is also putting a halt to rental evictions to prevent people from being thrown on the street for missing their rental payments due to this whole sickness outbreak and economic slowdown that has resulted from it. There's also going to be some utility bill assistance for individuals affected by this outbreak. So we're going to dissect it a little bit here. Halts, foreclosures, and rental evictions. It sounds like it's helping people, but it's going to be a pretty polarizing event. Now think about the bank bailouts. We're going to talk about the connection between these two in a minute, or at least give you an analogy between the two situations. Also, what about the buyers that are waiting for home prices to come back in line with incomes versus the people that bought these overpriced homes, these bubble buyers? Okay, we're going to dissect that. And do governments fear lower home prices? Let me put a question mark there to start with, and we're going to give you the answer to that here in just a couple minutes. But first, let's take a look at this report that we put out just about 6 days ago where we talked about this. And we had asked the question in that video, is the housing market about to get sick? And we talked about the economic impacts of the sickness outbreak that's happening. And in that video I said, well, I don't think home prices are going to come down in 2020 because it's not like the stock market. The housing market's not going to crash. Unlike a stock where you can push a button and sell it in a few seconds or milliseconds, or algorithms selling thousands and millions of shares of stock in a matter of a second, home prices do not move that quickly because the buying and selling of homes, of course, does not happen that fast. There's several months, and you have inspections. The entire process of buying and selling a home takes a long time. And in that video 6 days ago, I pointed out about how there's likely going to be assistance and they could halt foreclosures. Just like they did, I believe it was Italy, where they put a halt on evictions and foreclosures there because of the sickness outbreak and the lockdowns. And we talked about how governments do not want to see the housing markets get in trouble because it impacts what? The tax revenue, right? The higher the home prices, the higher the tax revenue, right? And this is another sticking point of home prices being very unlikely to drop here in 2020. Now, of course, we'll have to see how it plays out. It could be wrong, but also you have the fact that banks are lowering mortgage rates with the Fed stepping into the markets. And now think about just our last report here. The bank reserve requirements have been lowered to 0. That means the banks are nearly completely unleashed as far as the ability to lend. And if people eventually can't pay back the loans, the Fed will just come in and bail them out. Right, remember, this is unlimited fiat funding money that they have to play with. Now, why did I put this here? Buyers in waiting versus bubble buyers. Well, think about if you're a person, maybe you're renting, and you decided not to buy a house because they're so expensive and you know that your income may not support such a big mortgage payment. And you're thinking, okay, well, the last housing crisis, home prices came down quite a bit. For example, here in San Diego, it was very common to see home prices half price around 2009, 10, 11, and 12 versus what they were selling for in 2005, 6, 7, and 8. What about the buyers that have been waiting patiently on the sidelines, maybe saving up a down payment, waiting for the right time, waiting for prices to correct, and now they see that foreclosures are going to be halted, and that really makes it harder for people to buy because when foreclosures are halted, it puts a floor under the price. Okay, it's not the only factor, but it certainly can stop a lot of homes from hitting the market and getting put up for sale or getting foreclosed, which is going to have more inventory on the market, which also has an effect on the price. Right? Lower inventory, more demand, higher inventory, it's more likely that the home seller is going to have to come down on their price. And the reason I say it's polarizing is because you have both sides of the equation. One is you have what I just talked about, people that are actually waiting for home prices to correct so they can buy at a price that's affordable to them. But then two, you'll have the humanitarian side of things, or the humanitarian view that says, no, we cannot kick anybody out of their home. People need a roof over their head. And remember back in 2008, if you were following the financial markets and the economy back then, the same thing happened with the bank bailouts. On one hand, many people were saying these banks, they made not only foolish but crooked lending and gave out loans that they shouldn't have gave out mortgages that they shouldn't have given out. They took huge bonuses, they got fat commissions, fat paychecks, and now when it all comes back to bite them, when these loans go bad, they're just going to get bailed out from the government. So essentially, we are rewarding failure and rewarding bad business practices. That's one view. Now, the other view was that if we don't bail out the banks, all the people that work for the banks are going to lose their jobs. And it's sort of similar, right? Similar to someone losing their home. Well, these people are going to lose their jobs. It's not their fault. We need to bail out the banks, otherwise all these job losses will, impact thousands and thousands of people. Right? So there I say it's polarizing. Right? But what if you're a small business owner and you're barely making ends meet, or maybe your business failed and you're saying, hey, where's my bailout? Where's the bailout for the small business? Right? Why are the little guys not too big to fail, but the big multi-billion corporations with CEOs making 10, 20, 30 million a year and more, why are they too big to fail? Right? So you see where I'm getting at here? The bigger you get, then the more reasons people are going to point to why the business should be continually propped up. Right? So the more employees you get, the more people that are going to lose their jobs if the company fails. So therefore, it further gives them incentive to not only continue the foolish business practices, but also to be as careless as possible because they know that they're just going to get bailed out in the end. So pretty similar what I think to this foreclosure situation is, with the foreclosures being halted and the evictions being halted. Okay? Also, what about the people that bought these homes at very high prices? Right? It's only been a few weeks since this whole sickness outbreak began, and they're already talking about they need help. So you're going to miss 1 or 2 paychecks, and you already can't make your mortgage payment. It sounds like somebody got into a home that was priced way too high for their lifestyle or for their income. All right, also think about this. We've reported on all the people here, especially in California, living in their cars, living in their vans, and of course the homeless people. How many less people would be either one living on the streets or less people living in their vehicles if home prices weren't so high? Right? So you also have that part of it. For every person you help, there's another person that you could be hurting. And that's what we have to look at. We have to look at the whole equation here, not just one side of things. And I think the same thing for myself. If I can't make my mortgage payment, or if I can't afford whatever it is, I don't think I need to be bailed out. I don't deserve that. Because if you help me, you're hurting someone else who could be a more responsible buyer. Maybe I should have bought a home in Kansas or Nebraska. Maybe I should have moved to California. Right? So again, we are rewarding bad decisions and we're rewarding irresponsibility, in my opinion. Okay, let's finish it up right here. This is the home ownership rate for California. One of the lowest home ownership rates actually in the country. We're down now right about just under 55%. So what does that tell you? About 45% of the foreclosures that they're going to stop are going to be owned by investors, and some of these could be corporations. They could be companies that came in and bought thousands of homes after home prices took a drop here after the 2008 housing bust. Right? So this could also potentially help big financial institutions and investors. Right? So what do you think? Is it the right thing to do because no one deserves to lose their home? Or does it hurt just as many or more people than that they intend to help, because high home prices actually lock a lot of people out of the market and causes many people to have to rent, and many people living on the streets and in their vehicles. Okay, it's all for this update. Everybody, thanks for watching this.